These two guys have
Wrong intro.
It's the SKOR North Twins Show.
Oh, wrong intro to start there. It's SKOR North Extra Innings. Got the sports dad, Judd Zolgad, back on the home front. Speaking of being recalled, you're under dog duty for the whole weekend. Is that correct? You got
2 dogs.
You got 2 dogs in the house.
2 dogs. So Stella, who is of course my child,
Right.
she's here.
Your daughter. Yep.
And then Dawn and her friend Michelle are in New York for like 5 days. So I got Ryder, Michelle's dog, here, but he's like a son to me. So
Sure.
yeah, 2 dogs. They've been for walks. They're barking right now. They just ate dinner. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not a parent officially. I
Yes.
would be a great parent.
You would
like,
be.
I am there for these kids whenever
Yes, you
they
are.
need something. And believe me, when their moms get back, these dogs are going to hate their moms because they're going to say right now, they're saying that Uncle Pop Pop's the best.
Open the door, Pop Pop. Open the door. Speaking of doors opening and all sorts of things, flurry of roster moves. Man, usually Friday news dumps is always, one of the things you see. And on the eve of a 4th of July here, this is kind of like a long Friday, elongated Friday. But breaking news that happened today, I got word right before leaving the ballpark, hey, check on Brooks Lee. Was able to check on Brooks Lee, got a couple sources. Our guy Doogie and I were able to dig on that, figured out Brooks Lee was being recalled by the Twins. This was obviously on the heels of Royce Lewis being placed on the injured list. I'll get to that in just a bit. But Brooks Lee is here with the Twins. He's making his Major League debut on Wednesday. He will be at third base, batting 8th, switch hitter for the Twins. So Brooks Lee excited to make, obviously, his debut here. Judd, I did ask about the defensive flexibility to Rocco. I asked, do you see him at third? He obviously spent some time at second. You're welcome, Toby Gardenhire. He's played some shortstop as well. And he said, in the absence of Royce, I would see the bulk of this time coming at third. Now, a lot of guys can play. There's defensive versatility all over this damn team, basically. So, you can have Willie Castro bounce all over the place. Outside of Correa, Carlos Santana, and Buxton, everyone else can play multiple, essentially, positions. I would expect Brooks Lee to get the bulk of time at third base. Maybe he'll mix in some other times at short. But Brooks Lee is here. He's going to make his Major League debut tonight, and he'll be at third base, batting 8th. I'll get to Royce Lewis in just a bit after I get your thoughts on Brooks Lee being up.
Well, first of all, they're going to continue to bark, so excuse that. So I love this. In fact, I tweeted it last night when Royce pulled up lame and left the game again. Brooks Lee, who we forget now, but missed an extended period at the start of the year because of a back problem, went to St. Paul, and we saw him once, and it was impressive. 2 home runs in the game that we saw. 329, 394, 635 slash line, 5 doubles, 7 home runs, 21 runs driven in. So I absolutely think that this is smart. Julian has, as you tweeted back at me last night, he has improved at the plate of late, but he struggled again in the field. I think he needs time. I think he just needs time, and I don't think rushing him back is wise. So I like that. Matt Wallner, who I believe was, if I'm not mistaken, today voted the International League Player of the Month.
Yes,
but
he
he's
was.
an outfielder, and as Doogie said on the Scoop Tuesday, I also think he's probably being shopped, and so I think part of the question is, do you want to bring him back here and potentially expose him when he is going great guns at AAA, and it's like, oh my God, Matt Wallner's back. Do you want him? So anyway, I'm impressed because this is not necessarily the typical Twins move, but I think it's a good move. And yes, I think the fact that Lee can play third, short, and second, and I don't think it's that difficult. Now we'll find out here in the next couple of days if there is an adjustment or not. But this all to me makes perfect sense. And again, darn dogs. And again, Willie Castro, the nice thing there, Dex, is he has so much flexibility that you don't have to be like, okay, Lee has to play second base. So I like this. Final thought as well, because we don't talk about this guy enough. It's also reassuring that Jose Miranda is now playing like the player that we thought he was at the plate at least 2 years ago.
Yep.
So like Miranda's success also factors in, but I am very excited to see Brooks Lee. And as you get to Lewis, I have to admit, I mean, I remain concerned here, man. I remain concerned. Your thoughts trump mine, but he cannot stay healthy to save his life.
Yeah, quick one more note on Brooks Lee here before I'll dive into Royce. He has improved. Brooks Lee, that is, batting from the right side of the plate, so he is a switch hitter. He's improved a lot more batting from the right side. So, yes, he'll still make some starts, I think, against some righties here and there when he bats left, but I think him putting together those final pieces of being a complete hitter on the right side of the plate, plus it does give Rocco the flexibility of having 3 switch hitters in your starting lineup between Castro, Carlos Santana, and now Brooks Lee. So you talk about lineup flexibility. I mean, now it's all over the damn place with this team, which is good. On Royce, so this was interesting because yesterday they announced it was a left groin strain for Royce Lewis. And after he did talk to the media a little bit afterwards, and I asked him, and I said, is the groin strain on your right side where the quad injury was? He goes, yeah, it's on the right side. So I thought, okay, maybe I got confused, or maybe there was something missed there, but this injury is indeed on the right side, and I believe it's technically an abductor strain, is what it's now being called, an abductor strain. I Googled abductor. You can Google it as well if you want a visual of where the abductor is. It's basically near the groin. But timeline-wise, out through the All-Star break at least, it is a grade 2 strain for Royce Lewis. So out at least through the All-Star break. Of course, the benefit of that is the Twins will get about 5 days off, so Royce Lewis gets extra time to heal, and then I'm sure this isn't as severe. I get the hunch, by the way. I'm not reporting this. This is not as severe as the quad strain in terms of the timeline to return, but I'm going to assume that when they do return to play, or when the guys get back in the building here at some point after the All-Star game, that there'll be a reassessment and then seeing where Royce Lewis is at. So obviously we're about, 11 days from the last game before the All-Star break pause. So that's 11 days. You take 5 more days until the Twins return to play on a Saturday, by the way. They don't return to play on Thursday or Friday. They're back on Saturday, I think, against Milwaukee here at Target Field. So a reassessment, basically, a week and a half from now, or 2.5 weeks from now. But yes, it's too bad, man. This is incredibly unfortunate. You watch back on what happened. This wasn't something that he was dealing with before. And, I was chatting with Corey Provis on the way up from the scrum. I believe all of these injuries, Judd, and I haven't double-checked this on the ACL, I believe all of these injuries have happened on the right leg for Royce. ACL, quad, and now abductor. So genetics, it stinks. Proper precautions, yes. Could there be on both sides, training and even Royce's side, better things to do to maybe take care of the body? Certainly. And then there's some fluky bad luck when some of these things happen, yes. But it is too bad. The Twins will be without Royce Lewis for at least the next 2.5 weeks.
I will unmute myself as the dogs continue to bark. I looked this up. So last year in Baltimore in July, it was actually a grade 1 hamstring strain that cost him 36 games. That was the left one. Beyond that, I think you're right. I think it's the right side.
Okay.
But above and beyond the time he's going to miss again now, and the strain grade that is assigned, what really concerns me is that he just cannot stay on the field. Like this is Buxton-like now. And with Buxton at first, we're like, okay, Byron, don't crash into fences as much, right? Like try not. And then he didn't crash into fences as much, and he got hit by pitches, or he hurt his knee. And it feels like we're going down the same path. And I don't know who's to blame, if there is blame to be assessed, if there's blame and bad luck to be assessed, Declan. But we're talking about 2 potentially, I think in Buck's case, the ship has sailed, but potentially at one time at least superstar players, right?
Yeah. And
it just feels like the fact that we're dealing with 2 players isn't just some weird coincidence. So I don't know if it can be attributed to the same thing. I'm not even saying that's the case. I am saying that way above and beyond the time that Royce is going to miss, at what point does he come back and then just plays? At what point in time is he not trying to leg out a double? Because, and look, it's the same as Byron. No one's ever saying that these guys, A, don't want to play, or B, that they loaf, right? Like, it's not oh my God, he was trying to run hard for the first time in 3 weeks. Royce Lewis clearly, just like Byron, loves to play and compete. So I don't know how it can be examined, but it certainly seems like something where it is very distressing when two of the key parts, if you're ever going to win another world championship, right? Two of the key parts simply cannot stay out there. And Brooks Lee might be great, and that's awesome. But at some point in time, can you imagine Brooks Lee at second, as we've talked about, Carlos Correa at short?
Yeah.
Royce at third base, Byron in center, playing like he is right now or has been. Like, those are the things that win you a championship. So it is just distressing to me. At first, it's like, well, that's too bad. And now it's frustrating as hell if you watch this team, to watch these guys that you clearly want to see play, and guys that you will pay to see play who can't play. And I think the question is, what can be done, if anything? Because with two guys like that, it is just super, super frustrating.
With Buck, he obviously had, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, essentially, of injuries. He's dealt with just about every little thing, and now it's more just been pinpointed out. He's got a knee problem. He has a degenerative knee problem, essentially, the flap that got removed, and it flared up again this season. He had to go on the IL. I do think, though, and I'm not saying he didn't do this prior to all those injuries or prior to the time when he first got called up in 2015 and basically became a regular player from there on out. I think now he's in a pretty good spot outside of a knee problem that is significant. I'm not trying to downplay it. I think he realizes the type of things that have to go into taking care of your body in Byron's case, and I think he obviously is doing everything he can to maintain his health, but also the staff and even probably Byron knows that this could be a ticking time bomb of whenever this knee is going to again flare up or whenever there's going to be another problem. With Royce, it's just unfortunate that we're talking about a hamstring, and then it's, weirdly ACLs tears, and then it's a quad, and now it's a groin. So, I'm sure Royce is doing everything he can to take care of his body. I know I see comments, and I get a ton of things of being like, reassess his entire medical staff. At the end of the day,
they've tried.
Yeah, and they have.
They've done it.
They've gotten rid of it before. So, I think Royce knows that this stinks. The other part of this too is the mental side of this. What does this do to a guy who is incredibly upbeat, to a guy who just emotes positivity to the 100th degree? Obviously, there's frustration. I got to imagine. I wasn't able to catch up with him today. I talked to him briefly yesterday about the injury and just about the game he had. I got to imagine it's frustrating. And some guys, some guys can be around the team, and Royce was like that during the quad strain. He wanted to be here. He was around and being his normal self. I don't know if that changes. I don't know if you get to a point as a player or as an athlete where you do kind of have, and I do rightfully think so, a woe is me of why is this happening, and also I need to kind of unplug from everyone. I don't know what type of ramifications come from that with Royce. I'm going to guess it's probably the former. I'm going to guess he's probably still going to be around because that's just his type of personality. But I do wonder just what is probably going through his head over what the hell do I have to do to just stay on the damn field.
His comments last night, I thought post-game were some of the oddest that we've seen. Like, this dude tore his ACL twice, and basically he was upset, so don't get me wrong, but still maintained a positive outlook. I thought last night when he made a reference to it's always bad news, which seemed to be how the team takes things, I'd be curious to see what the push and pull is, because these to me look like IL injuries. I don't think the Twins are like being too careful here. You're pulling things. If you come back and play, it's a problem. But his comments last night seemed to me to be interpreted as probably the most, how can I put this, positive, negative comments that we've seen from him, the frustration. And I'll go back to 2020 when I was around the team a bunch during the COVID season, and Buxton got hurt again and again. And, I remember the frustration there. And it was, I asked Baldelli at one point, I said, what do you do here? Like, what do you tell him? Like, this is, and Rocco got not defensive, but he's like, I don't know. We'll see how things go. But I can tell you right now, these two, they're similar in the fact that they are competitors. Like, Royce is a nice guy, but don't mistake that for he'd love 100%. To kick your ass in sports.
Yeah.
And so I think the competitor is really, really hard. And the other thing, though, to go back to Buck is Buck is playing well right now, okay? But I agree, the knee is a time bomb. You just don't know. But more so, Buck's ability or window to be a superstar is sort of past now.
Yes,
like we're happy when we get good Buck for a month. And I think part of the problem there is the injuries begin to mount, Dex, and you finally do something that is going to be a problem for a long time. In Buck's case, the knee. What concerns me with Royce is, like, we are looking at a litany, right, of hamstrings and ACLs and abductors. And eventually, when you hurt that many body parts, something is going to come back and become a long-term problem. And that's what concerns me. Can this be cut off before we've got a similar Buxton thing where it's like, Royce is still good, don't get me wrong, but the days of saying that guy is going to be a perennial all-star superstar are gone. That's where I'm a little bit concerned, just because the human body can only take so many setbacks.
Absolutely. By the way, hit the like button, subscribe button for those watching us right now. We got over 200 people watching the SKOR North Twins Show, so thank you so much. Hit the like button, subscribe button.
By the way,
Twins content.
Great scoop by you and Dukes on this. So I've seen a couple of comments as well, but this is a great scoop. I know you had an inkling, as did I. I was guessing, but I mean, you guys got this nailed down. Very, very nice work. Sports Dad is very proud of his sports son.
No good deed goes unpunished, though, because right after I was able to report that and get on that, I'm hustling into Target Field, and I'm on 94 coming here. A rock comes and chips my windshield on my car, so that was also a great start.
Are you going to get it replaced right away?
Saturday.
The chip?
Saturday.
Really? See, I've had chips for months, and I just don't care.
Well,
unless it's in your field of vision.
It's not in the field of vision, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't want to deal with that.
I once had my windshield crack because it was cold out.
Yeah.
And I had the heat on, and I stopped, and it went, bah! I didn't get it fixed again. I was like, it's on the bottom. Screw it. But anyway, a great chance for the Twin Show to be sponsored by a windshield place.
That's
right.
Here. Yeah, if maybe, I don't know, a Safe Flight Repair, Safe Flight Replace wants to sponsor the show. There you go. So on Royce Lewis, too, I went talked to him yesterday about just – because you talk about the competitor that's in him. So yesterday there was a time during the first AB where he got called out after a lengthy at-bat on a changeup that was clearly low and in. It wasn't in the zone, and I asked Royce about that because the very next AB he got the same changeup from Skubal, one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he was able to pull it down the line for a bases-clearing double. And I just noticed the fire that was in him, and he was like, he struck me out the first time thinking he got me, and he didn't get me. It was a ball. And, he's talking about how I know that this is going to be the pitch I want to hit. And the umpire was also very inconsistent with the zone. He was trying to not let that frustrate him. So there definitely is that competitive fire that is in him. That is definitely not just a positivity and he'll shake your hand and sign autographs and all that good stuff. I think he should do that. But there definitely, I wonder, does something change there? Does something change of all these injuries? It does get frustrating. And, when you talk about all these injuries that start to add up, and does the body ever break down? That's what I've wondered with Alex Kirilloff, to the point. And then when we reported on that a few weeks ago, you just have so many things happen to you, but even though you're still young, and even though you're still obviously way more athletic than 99% of the people on this earth, it catches up, and you're just never going to be able to be the person that maybe you thought you could be athletically, or what your projections were as a minor leaguer. I think that's the tough part that Royce probably has to understand here, and I won't put him in my shoes. I won't speak for him, but that part is frustrating because obviously he does want to play. The fans want to see him play. The Twins got a little bit robbed with that, with Buxton's prime and Miguel Sano even flaming out with the Twins. I mean, for the last 10 or 15 years, there's been a few of these. Brooks Lee's the next guy, right? I mean, Brooks Lee is the 8th overall pick in the draft, and he was battling a back issue in April. So
yeah, you're right.
You hope, obviously, things start to work themselves out, but it is a bummer when, obviously, you lose Royce Lewis for an extended period of time.
I do think there's an interesting discussion to be had there, too, about, 2024, the focus now.
Yeah.
It used to be, you could do a lot of things. And I don't, these guys, including baseball players, or a lot of them are fine-tuned machines now. And look, in Sano's case, I felt no sympathy because it was all his fault. Anything, he was not in shape consistently. He was not a guy that I looked at and I said, he wants it, right? Buxton, he wants it. Lewis, he does as well. But I'm also, from a Twins fan perspective, I'm saying if you are going to win playoff series, right? If you're going to make eventually a deep playoff run, Royce Lewis, you have to have him, and ideally probably not at, because it's hard, 100%. I mean, Dex, I don't think the Twins beat Toronto necessarily in the short playoff series last year without Royce coming back.
Easily. I mean, he
And
scored.
he DH'd.
Yeah, and he scored, I think, 75% of the runs or something. So you're right. You're 100% right.
Like, you're not, like, the Twins as a whole, because personally as a baseball fan, it sucks because I would just like to watch him play baseball. I enjoy watching him play. It's really fun to watch. But beyond that, if I am the Twins and I have an investment in him, and he is, he was the first pick in his draft or the second pick. This is a guy that you have to have. Like, I honestly think if you get the pitching right, and I'm not saying this season, but let's just play this out. If you get the pitching right, and they do have some good things there, and you have Royce at third, Carlos at short, Brooks Lee at second, Buxton, let's just say Buxton as Buxton now playing center field, so he gets everything basically. Like, that's a hell of a playoff team right there.
That's a great core. Yeah, great core.
That's a team that can defensively, and Correa shows this consistently. What type of a difference does Correa, who's the professional's professional, what type of difference does he make in things like ERA?
Oh, 100. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Like, we probably don't talk about that enough.
And I just wonder too if Correa, because Correa sat down, was it Buxton going into last year and said, "Hey man, we just need you to play." Invited him over to dinner, and I know you're probably against this whole DH thing. I'm trying to paraphrase and remember exactly what happened here. I think this is what happened.
That sounds right.
He brought Correa brought Buck over to dinner and just said, "Look, I know this stinks for you, and you want to play center field." And in hindsight, Correa was right. We need you to play. Now, in the grand scheme of things, Buxton was right of, I need to be playing center field, obviously for my own psyche, but also his best version of himself in center field. I wonder, too, if that happens with Correa, because Correa is the captain of this team. I don't think that's obviously not a hot take, and if you just are around him, and in the time I have been around, there is that captain-like, commands the room presence feel that only so many people can have, and some of these Twins teams over the last few years didn't have that, and I think Nelson Cruz had that, but it was in a much different way about going about things. I wonder with Correa and kind of trying to figure out how to help out Royce Lewis too, because Correa's missed time with some injuries before as well. I wonder if there's some influence there from this captain, from that heartbeat guy that can also like steer some of these dudes in the right direction mentally and physically.
In 2019, Cruz controlled the room in a really good way. Like he is one of the most effective guys that I've ever seen as far as baseball captains, not officially a captain, but Cruz was very much a year-to-year guy, and he was a DH. Now, I'm not saying that took away from what he brought, but I am saying Correa is here long-term, and he's a shortstop, which is a pivotal spot. So, yeah, I think that there's definitely something there. But you just think about the Twins long-term with the potential that they have from their players, and if you can get Royce in there consistently, and again, this is concerning because it's twice or three times a year, Dex. Like, it's not once a year. It was he came back from the ACL in June of 2023, if I'm not mistaken. Again, right? Didn't he come back last year again then in June?
Yeah. He made his debut in 22.
He tore the ACL twice.
Tore the ACL, yeah.
Yep. So then he strains the hamstring or the oblique in Baltimore in July. And then he strains the hamstring late in the season, misses 10 games, and then comes back for the playoffs, can't play third, and still makes a huge difference in the win against Toronto. So, yeah, it sucks in that sense. Brooks Lee, though, it's going to be fun to watch him. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to race down to the ballpark right now and go watch him with you.
Absolutely. Hit the like button, subscribe button. This is SKOR North Extra Innings. Appreciate Judd. Are the dogs going to be okay with being gone for a couple hours? We good with the dogs there?
I don't know if we've got a mailman situation, a UPS man
Amazon
situation. Well, here's the other thing.
Dawn orders those packages.
Yeah. In fact, we got a big fan today, and I hope she's not expecting Sports Dad to put it together because it ain't going to happen. She's going to have to do it once she returns from her trip. But the other thing I fear is, so when we ordinarily start our morning recording sessions, I put up a couple of big pillows to block off a window entirely, so Stella can't see it. Yeah. I think I took them down, And so I think they see a person go by with a dog, all hell breaks loose. What really pisses me off is then the dog's long gone and they still bark like the dog's there.
Oh,
I don't have good. Let's just say this: I'm not doing a good job of running my locker room right now.
Oh no, you're not. No, you're not.
Nope.
You need your own consultant. You need a bench coach there. You need a Jace Tingler.
I need a post-game show to vent about my team.
Yes, you do. You absolutely do.
My dogs are barking.
Brooks Lee up. Royce Lewis with another injury. That's your latest here on the SKOR North Twins Show. Appreciate everyone listening and watching, supporting the show over the last 3 or 4 months here. It's been a blast. We'll be off tomorrow. The start time, by the way, I usually don't preview things that are coming. Tomorrow's game got moved up an hour. So if you were planning to be here for the 4th of July game against the Tigers, it was going to be at 1 o'clock. It is now at 12:10 because I think it's going to start raining around 2 or 3 o'clock.
Can we please stop?
I'm in a suite, so if there's a delay, that's fine. That's more times I can stay up there.
Place could get hit by
Play
lightning,
for 5
and you're
hours.
not going to care.
I'm not moving until they are kicking me out of it. And not this won't be here tomorrow, but
Oh boy,
this will be in a different way.
Oh boy,
Okay?
That's dangerous.
Drop a scoop and then drop some beers tomorrow. So hit the like button, subscribe button. This is SKOR North Twins Show. Appreciate everyone listening and watching.